Who is the real master? You or your mind? The mind is like a powerful genie that grants your wishes. Did you know that a typical brain thinks on average about 60 to 80,000 words a day? This means that the quality of our thoughts is responsible for how we feel and behave each day. The inner dialogue in your mind is responsible for your life's autobiography. Your thinking can propel you to success or hold you back. So to change your life, all you have to do is change your thinking. Do you control your mind? Or does your mind control you? When you recognize that you are the one who holds the rein of the galloping horse, then everything is possible. In the next video, we will analyze how the mind controls your behaviors and determines how you feel. Understanding this important relationship between you and your mind is important if you want to progress and lead a satisfying life. Your motivation and goal setting to achieve your ambitions are dependent on how much power you give your mind to dictate your daily life.
The way you feel on a day-to-day basis is determined solely by how you think. As far as your own life is concerned, you are standing right between the crossroad of decision-making. No two ways about it. It's a battle in varying degrees for all of us. We face disappointment, worries, frustrations, financial problems, talk of impending doom, and the uncertainty caused by a pandemic that has become the perfect catalyst for the mind to unleash its ravaging power. Although it is part of the human conditioning that we naturally blame other people for writing the life script that makes us angry, stressed, sad, disgusted, anxious, or whatever negativity we may experience. The truth is that it is our thoughts that dictate how we feel and determine our subsequent behaviors. You become what you think about. Misery, pain, problems, love, kindness, hope. Simply put, your mind determines your life's destiny. How we cope with these everyday challenges and how troubled we become is purely down to the way we think about a given situation, as we filter the world through the lens of the mind. Eventually, your feelings will be dictated by how your mind interprets what it perceives. We are fortunate than our forefathers that we know so much about the brain these days. We now know that it's the growth of the connections between our neurons or brain cells that is responsible for the growth of the brain. The incessant thinking that goes inside the brain results in fresh connections of the neurons that multiply as more thoughts are activated. The neurons in the brain continue to multiply and transform into a larger network in the brain. It is since discovered by science that thinking can change and mold the brain. Is it possible to have any other things in our grasp than our thoughts? Thinking is a fundamental thing that all of us do, practically every day and every moment. So much so, we take it for granted. Our mind is in use all the time, but most people don't give due consideration to the importance of having a thought, as it has become the norm of human behavior. Yet, the thinking process is at the heart of everything we do. By simply becoming aware of the various material things around us, we'll tell you that each one of them began as a mere thought in someone's mind. The laptop or the mobile phone that we cannot live without originated as a thought process in someone's mind. The television transformed from a bulky cathode ray tube to a flat screen from some idea or thought in some inventor's head. We can go on adding to the marvelous inventions that have transformed our lifestyle. Surely these inventors would have faced failures, frustrations, disappointment after disappointments as they continued fiddling with their inventions. Much to our relief, none of them chose to give up when they faced a roadblock, but had the willpower to pursue their vision and not moan like most of us would have, for example, "It will never work," or "It's a foolish thought." Your mind can propel you to do wonderful things or hold you back in your tracks, as we are products of what we think. There is no second or minute that passes by without a running commentary orchestrated by the mind, which will eventually determine an action or an intent of what we are going to do next. This will follow suit by a feeling. Most of us will have the notion that since the mind gave birth to each of our feelings, there is nothing much that you can do about it. Rather than recoiling to such a notion, we should be relieved that we also have the power to change our feelings and not leave everything in the hands of your mind. The thought that you can control your mind suddenly dawns on you when you begin to believe that you are not your mind. One has just to stop this mind chatter by quietening it and watching the drama as it unfolds. As a passive observer, you will be surprised at how the mind hoodwinks you to follow its rhythmic chatter. Most of it will be negative, and the contents will swing between the past and the future. None of this chatter determines the real you, as most of it does not equal your true self and capabilities. Watching your thoughts is the first step to freedom, as you now control the mind rather than the other way round. Millions who have watched their thoughts have finally found the freedom that had eluded them. Sadly, this newfound insight did not permeate mainstream society, as many people were still trapped within thinking that he or she is one of the same, called the mind. Those who have recognized the separate nature of the mind have used it to their greater benefit and advantage. Such people simply become aware of their internal dialogue, but rather than getting drowned with the continuous chatter and be driven by it, they have simply accepted it as a precursor to action or attitude which gives rise to human feelings. They then take the requisite steps to replace negative and self-defeating thoughts with positive and uplifting ones. It is possible to change from a pessimist to an optimistic person by simply flicking the switch in your mind. Often, we have the power to take an about turn when we are confronted by negative thoughts. If we are the creators of our thoughts, surely we have the choice to choose which thoughts we should nurture. To have an optimistic mindset is not an impossible task to accomplish after all. But the route to accomplishing such a mindset involves time, persistence, and willpower. All the negative dialogue in our minds need to be undone. Whatever negativity that you are experiencing are years of unconscious nurturing. As long as you do not give your mind the power to dictate your thoughts, you have already shown that you are the master and mean business. When you give attention and energize such pessimistic thoughts, you automatically feel lousy, since, as explained above, feelings piggy ride negative thoughts. All is not lost yet. Remember, you and not your mind is in control of your destiny. You and you alone have the power to change your internal self-talk. Your life may remain status quo, and the day-to-day activities may just be there as expected. What has changed is your belief system. With the flick of a switch, you would have changed your pessimistic way of life to a more positive outlook. A change in attitude will follow suit. You will therefore feel better. If there is one thing that can be alluded to pessimistic thinking is this: it stops you from doing things, it prevents you from capitalizing on opportunities, and it can stop things from happening. However, be cautious though. You have been embracing pessimistic views throughout your life and its ensuing situations en route your adult life. Flicking the switch to more optimistic thinking and hoping to become a new you are not going to be easy. You have been a pessimistic individual all this while, so it would not be long when the pessimistic circuit breaker gets triggered yet again. A lot of scientific research into the thinking process has been conducted over many years. They all concur that you are what you think. Your thoughts have an upper hand on how you end up feeling. Most of us are familiar with the so-called half-full, optimistic, or half-empty, pessimistic glass viewpoint. Which way you view the contents of the glass is the way you approach and see things in your life. Psychological research of the past on the brain has discovered that not only does being optimistic is the best option, but also transforms your actions and feelings in the process. This then catapults you to not only reach your goals, but also puts you in a conducive environment to achieve them. At the same time, you should realize that being optimistic doesn't mean that you get what you want like magic, but is a starting point to creating a momentum. Many people loathe not being able to accomplish their goals, but in reality wouldn't even know what they plan to accomplish. The idea of flicking the mind switch opens the door to a whole new paradigm of thinking. First off, the quality of your life would change in leaps and bounds. Many of us are more concerned about our physical body and spend hours putting it to shape. We are conscious about our appearance and want the perfect body. Most people will go the extra mile to get the ideal physique at all costs. Sad to say that the mind often takes a back seat in as far as taking care of its well-being. We absorb everything that life throws at us and the stress that engulfs each thought that follows. Soon we complain about everything that does not fit into our mold. This vicious cycle goes on, without you realizing the damage that you are exposing yourself to. Wouldn't it be fair that we give due consideration to the mind just as we do to our physical body? After all, how you think shapes what you transform yourself into. The success that you envision for your personal and working life will only materialize when your thoughts are right. How you think will determine what you do in the outside world. More importantly, it will determine how you react to the world that keeps bombarding you with events and situations that keep shaping your experiences.